Okay, everyone, welcome to the second of what will be a long list of videos for Math 135. And understand that many of these first problems that we're going to be doing in this course are really a means of me giving you the opportunity to practice using Wolfram and get very good at it. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next problem, folks. We've got example 1 for me, which is really if you have the textbook example 4 from page 63. Again, I think I will mention this the first day of class, but I'm going to basically create my own course and sort of abandon the textbook, but I will reference where the problems are in the textbook if that's something that you have a reason to want to go and find. So we've got example 1 right here waiting for us, folks. We've got using data from 1952 to 2004, the percent P of eligible U.S. population voting in presidential elections has been estimated to be that equation right there. So where X is the number of years past 1950. So according to this model, in what election year is the percent of voting expected to equal 55.4%? And so basically, folks, we're just going to copy what we've got there. We have P is equal to 63.20 minus 0.26x. And so again, X is the number of years past 1950. So we are looking for the year that the percent will get to be 55.4%. So we are going to replace P with 55.4, and we are going to sling it into Wolfram and see what we get. So we've got 55.4 is equal to 63.20 minus 0.26x. And so again, as with the last video, here comes Wolfram. Dun, 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 dun. And we're going to sling it right in there, folks. We've got 55.4 is equal to 63.2 minus 0.26x. We punch that in there. We're going to be looking for the word solution down here in Wolfram, and it says x is about 30. So I say about because it's got the squiggly equal sign and not a totally straight equal sign. So over here in my workspace, folks, I'm ending up with x equals 30. Now remember, in this course, you're always going to write a sentence describing what that number means. And so this is not a course where you just get an answer and that's it. We are going to say that that 30 means that 1950, so if we remember from this guy, x represents the number of years past 1950. So 30 years after 1950 is 1980. And so in the year 1980, the percent of people voting in the presidential election is expected to be 55.4. So that's roughly about half of Americans voting in the 1980 presidential election is what was anticipated. Again, this is anticipated. We don't know what happened for sure. And if you're a person that's looking at the textbook, you will notice that this piece right here is not in the textbook because I added this. I'm going to modify many of the problems from the textbook throughout this course to make them better. And so my add-on to this question was, what percent of people are expected to vote in the 2020 presidential election? And so we're going to use the same model, folks. Oops. We are going to be saying P is equal to 63.20 minus 0.26x. And I am looking for the percent. In this case, I know the x. I know the number of years that I'm looking for. So I'm going to put in for x the number of years past 1950 to get to 2020, which would be 70 years. And so we are going to end up saying that the percent of voters voting in the election would be 63.20 minus 0.26 times 70. Again, because 70 years after 1950 is when the year 2020 happens, And let's see if I can get Wolfram back in here. Yep. So in this case, folks, I'm going to put a P. And over here, again, I'm replacing X with 70. This is going to give us an idea what percent of the population. The result is 45%, which would have been less than the number of voters in 1980. So in 2020, the model predicts that 45% of voters will vote. Something tells me that it was probably a larger number than that in 2020, but that's what the model predicts. And so one thing to get right out there, right out of the gate, folks, is that we'll be using models to predict what's going to happen an awful lot in this course. And we need to recognize that it's just a model. There's no way to tell the future, although we can try to predict what's going to happen. Again, there's something that tells me that 45% of people voting in the 2020 election is probably a bit on the slim side. That's it for this video, folks. I hope this is helpful.